Thank you for joining us and attending the Cedar Lake Board of Zoning Appeals regular monthly meeting. If you would, rise and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Present.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Capora?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present. Ms. Hyduk is present.
Oh, full house. Okay. Minutes as presented from packet. Anybody have any corrections or additions?
I don't.
I didn't see anything. Okay. Make a motion to approve both.
I'll make a motion to approve both.
I'll second it.
Motion made by John and second by Greg to approve. Any questions?
Yep. No, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. First item, under old business, Brink, 14335 Truman Street, developmental variance. This is a continued public hearing from, did we see you last month, or was it the month before? I know they've been pearled on and daisy chained for so long.
It was deferred last month, last thing before you in July.
Okay, all right. I guess what we're looking at is an amended request per the March 9th BZA meeting, where this developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct an addition onto the house with a front yard 5 foot, front yard setback to be reduced to 5 feet, side yard setback of 4 feet, and an overall lot coverage of 30%. Mr. Austin, this is a continuation, so I believe
everything was in order when it was started.
All right. Good evening. What do you got for us?
I want to hand you a package. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I met finally yesterday morning with Tim Kubiak because there were some outstanding issues.
Do we have a solution?
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, that's good news.
This was presented.
Does everybody get one?
Their meeting, his meeting with Tim was yesterday morning around between 7:30 and 8 a.m.
Does everybody get one of these?
I don't know if anybody wants one over there.
Yeah. No. All right, one of the problems that was kind of delaying was the water flow issue from the street. And granted, I think you were reading some comments from the March meeting that some of the variance requests had changed. So today, unfortunately, a couple of swinging back a little bit due to the change. So Tim and I met, and the big issue is all the water flowing down our street. And he basically recommended that I raised the garage floor 12 inches in order to alleviate and get my home. Mr. Jackson, at the last meeting I was at, commented that the home was below the ground level, and just what were we going to do? So basically, he also recommended I have a piece off the south side of my garage which sits out, and then beyond the garage it goes back in, and then the whole rest of the house. Remove that piece of garage, add 12 inches to the floor, continue with the addition to the street side and the north side to make the north side completely equal. And that'll also allow us to get the cars in the garage and to have a space on the south side of the garage, which will have 11.1 feet. It's common sense that this will work. We don't need to do anything with drains, sewers.
We still need to do something with drains and sewers over there. I mean, that whole thing needs to be redone.
Understood.
And there needs to be a catch basin over there too.
But in the meantime, this would resolve my issues.
Absolutely.
For everything that we want to do to get on with our home. On that property of mine, that just north by the property line, there's a couple big trees, I need to remove those. I showed Tim this huge dead tree, and there's about 16 to 18 inches of mounded dirt at the end of that street that restrict flow. And then he had said that the town could do something about getting that whole end of the street, them trees cleared out, and get that ground graded, so when the water comes down the road, it'll naturally flow towards the lake. And it will, it does currently, it just, in a major rainstorm, I get 6 to 8 inches of water, it encroaches the garage. So if that's alleviated, and then my floor is up a foot, then I have a nice apron getting out to the road. That'll alleviate that problem. Going down, next I have the plat of survey, is the next piece of paper under the write-up. Just to kind of give you, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but I did my best. On the bottom there, I show how demoing and removing that 1.5 foot portion of the garage from the south wall creates a parking spot off of the street. And then I continue down in my write-up, but I'm also going to, basically when I raise up that floor, it's an old lake house that has, I think, 3 or 4 renditions of additions and stairs and all this other stuff going on. So if I'm gonna raise my garage floor, I'm gonna basically raise the entire ground floor of my home 12 inches. It will allow me to modify some plumbing, some things we'd like to do. That, of course, is gonna make me have to raise my second floor. And there too, there's steps, so that'll alleviate, so my second floor is all one floor right now, you know, will be. And I described that in point number 4, where if I raise these various floors to the desired heights, the architect told me I'm approximately right at 32 feet, so I'm going to request a height of 33 feet. And my last proposal, the renderings that are also in this pile, showed that they were 29 feet. In addition to that, I had a cantilever sticking out the back of the house about 4 feet. So the last time I asked for the square footage of the home, it was based on 1,876 square feet at exactly 30%. If I'm going to go through all this expense, I'd like to get the house to be equal to where that cantilever piece sticks out, so that I have one fluid straight back east wall on the lake. And that new calculation on number 3 comes up to 2,181 or 34.8%, which is still underneath the original request that I made when I came to the first variance meeting. I just wanted to go through the points in these following sketches. There is the east elevation drawing, which was the second large piece, where I actually had Mike Spinola today quick updated the rendering for me and made the calculations, because in addition to what I had before, in the raising of the various floors, I highlighted there the 31 to the 32 feet is his, it's pretty much good faith estimate, he's probably right. But I've requested the 33. And that yellow piece that's down on the left-hand side, that is only way up in front of the house on about the 22 feet of the garage, or the 18 feet of the garage. That would be removed on the south side of the house. At the very top, my new request to go off the back of the house there was 15 feet 10. I've added 6 feet to that, so it might only be 4. I didn't have time to actually measure today, but I want to meet that distance of that cantilever because it looks kind of stupid sticking out of the house.
It's just gonna be the same depth as the cantilever is now, it's just gonna go all the way to ground level, right?
Yeah, it's gonna go all the way to the ground. I'll be adding that foot to the bottom floor of, stone concrete. et cetera. And then the back of the house is basically gonna have the same idea rendering, except the cantilever will not be sticking out in that upper left-hand corner on the bottom elevation picture.
If you didn't have time to prepare, I'd really love to see it when you come prepared, because this is good work.
It was all rolling around in my mind, and I had from 4:30 till 6 to get it done. But, you know, I had to reach out to Stinula to get their elevation drawings and talk to my builder, make sure what's realistic.
So are you gonna jack up the entire house to get another foot of elevation?
No, I'm not gonna jack it.
So how are you raising it a foot?
I believe we're gonna go around the bottom and add, probably, footing and or solid concrete, possibly even cinder blocks filled, and raise that wall, and fill in the entire ground floor with various plumbing modifications that we would like to make.
And in the picture of this red line, is that where the new garage is gonna be?
Picture of.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture, there's a red string on the ground or a hose or something.
Oh, that's garbage. But no, that is actually the property line.
That is your property line?
That
So
was-
where the existing garage is, it's gonna be there, it's just gonna be elevated another foot?
Yes, the garage is, now I'm requesting that, you know, per Tim's recommendation, alleviate all the flooding stuff.
Well, 12
Even
inches.
on my last house, he made a really couple of great recommendations, the last minute we used them, and
He's been doing that for a day
Well,
or
if you have
two.
12
he
inches.
does what he does, that's
Okay.
exactly right.
Height, of great height, that you probably aren't gonna ever have a water problem again.
No, I mean, we said 12 to 16, I mean, in that, I'm gonna go 12. I'd love to put a sloped garage floor with a drain, and if I'm gonna do all this work, I'm gonna go all the way. This is my last house.
How far is the garage door gonna be from the street? That's what I'm trying to understand here, so.
Well, if you have that picture that he's looking
It looks
at,
like 8 feet, right?
well, 8 feet is actually to the property line.
Correct.
From the center of the road or from the edge of the road?
No, from the front of my garage to where I took that 8-foot measurement, which is actually the property line,
Mm-hmm.
I draw that picture to reference down the street how that line, and it's like everybody's front yards are out on the street, and then it curves back towards me. From that line to the actual pavement of the street is still about this much more distance.
So another 3 feet, so what, 11?
Yeah, approximately.
So, Mr. Jackson, if you're to look at page 8 on, your iPad for
Mhm.
this petition, that is a stake plat survey that was done that shows he's got about 8.03 feet from the front of his property line to the
Okay.
front of the garage.
Okay.
Yeah, and the survey orange marks were still there on the fence, and that's how I constructed that. And that too, it was about for the size of the addition towards the street. And then also I made a recommendation about the water at the time, but that's gone now. I'd like to just do this alternative plan Tim and I discussed. And it kind of opened my eyes for, you know, okay, if I'm gonna do this, why don't we just finish it and do the whole house and get it done right? Put another nice, beautiful house on the lake.
I like it.
So the current request, not as what's going around in my head now,
Yeah, I just shifted on.
That's why I'm kinda lost at now, looking at this and what we just talked about, like,
is we're looking for a 6-foot, front yard setback instead of the 5.
I was looking for a 6-foot addition off of the front of that house where it's a little different between the survey and what I actually showed measured out there.
Well, you can't go by measurement, you gotta go by the survey, because
Yeah.
that's your property line.
According to this survey, I think it showed a dimension of 14 feet from the front of the house. It's, It's very illegible. It's half in the white and half in the yellow.
That does read, that's what it says, 14 feet.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going by the survey, that's what the survey says.
So when Mr. Burring first submitted, he just had the big plat survey that you are seeing in front of you, and that's just a survey location report. Those can be off, which is when it was requested to have a stake survey because it got brought up that it's closer than 14 feet. So when it was advertised based off the survey location report, which shows 14 feet with the increase to 6 feet to the addition, which is how that 5 feet is on your advertisement. Along the process, it was then requested that he get an actual stake survey to see how far back the house is from the property, which is then that 8.03 feet. So if the 6-foot addition to the front were granted, he'd be about 2 feet from the road.
From the edge of the street.
From the edge of the street, 2 feet from his property line, which is where the street also is.
And that's why I showed that picture to identify, looking down the south, how, you know, the rest of the neighbors' yards encroach so much. It's not good numerically to listen to, but to see it, it's as if there's room to do that.
Well, it gives you a place, I mean, it almost has to be that way to get a vehicle off the street there.
It has to be that way to get a vehicle in my house.
Right, and then where the garbage cans in this picture, that's, you're gonna make like an area to park a car.
Well, yes, that area where beyond the garbage cans there would increase to a little over 11 feet, that one car could be parked out, and the garage would equip 3 vehicles if needed. It'll only have 2, but it'll be big enough. Yeah, and that's why I'm requesting going back to some of these separate dimensions and variance numbers, because, you know, the modifications, the elevation, and then why not go for a few extra square feet to just, yeah, I'm going all in.
Dave, do you know if those are dedicated streets over there? I know some of them on the east side are not. Do you know if that,
Truman is.
is it?
It is.
I thought you knew the area pretty well over there.
All this way.
I mean, there's no ideal scenario for this, but what's clicking in my head is this lakeside stuff needs to get addressed for a reconstruction and for curb and gutter and all the stuff that needs to go in there. And I don't think what he's doing here would, based on what I'm seeing from the distance that we're still gonna have if we do a reconstruction, it gives us about 3 feet to do a curb and gutter in the existing right-of-way, is best I can tell from looking at the pictures without being out there with a tape measure. And, I mean, in this particular situation, the only way that he has parking for anything indoors or out is to...
Currently, park in the street.
Yeah, use some common sense.
Granted, the cars are nosed up, but, yeah, nobody goes there, we never have an issue.
The only thing that I think about is like snow plows and, you know...
Yeah, I understand
Emergency
that.
plan.
For the first couple of years, I plowed the street before the town even got there for everybody, which that doesn't matter, but it's not been an issue.
So I think I've asked this before, but what's going on in the current garage though, right? There's a 2.5 car garage under the house now?
The car won't fit in it to shut the door. It's not long enough.
Yeah, it's not even, the total depth of the current garage is 18.8 feet, and I don't have a vehicle that's under 21 feet, and they're not even big vehicles. It's not like a pickup truck or nothing, it's just a, you know, an SUV.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for your roof height, you're at 32 and you need 32.
Excuse me, sir?
What's the height of the roof?
Right now, currently,
Yeah,
the old roof line, if you see the east elevation,
yeah, so that's your highest point.
that currently, that dotted line peak right there is my current highest point.
That's at 29.
Mm,
That's what that says right here.
yeah, I didn't study it enough to know that right now, sorry.
So to go to 29, you're saying you're going to raise it 3 feet? You want
Well,
32?
yeah, I'm putting a foot on the first floor. I'm taking my low ceilings in my first floor, making them 8 feet, making my second floor 9 feet, and my third floor 8 feet, which puts me dead at 32 right now.
So is there a code for the height? Is it supposed to be?
30.
Feet
30.
from, 30 feet to the peak from 12 inches below top of foundation.
The challenge there is that we've stuck with that pretty hard on so many houses. That's a tough one. We've had a lot of people ask for 31 and we couldn't get there, so I don't.
Well, I am raising the base of my low house a foot,
Mm-hmm.
and that, if I carry that through, so there I'm adding another step from the garage into the house. So we just figured, let's just redo the whole place,
If
get all the floors.
you go up a foot and don't raise the next level, you're gonna be bumping your head in the garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that main level,
So,
he's
you know,
gonna do
that too,
9.
the garage
Huh?
gets
He's
lifted.
gonna do 9. I mean, it wasn't really 9, you said 8, 9, and then another 8? Yeah. I mean, there's no neighbor like across from me right now. It looks like the house on that corner, that's its backyard, so
And
like
that's-
visually, he's not gonna
No, he's
interrupt
not,
anybody.
there's nothing there to obstruct currently. I mean, if somebody wanted to build a house on that lot,
And that's never changing.
I wouldn't think.
And I would think that, like I said, I would say that I could see that for the roof. You know, you're raising everything up so you don't have a water problem, and that's gonna be, I mean, that is gonna solve the problem. See, when the town gets to that, your road, but in the meantime, you want it to be okay while you're doing all the construction, that's gonna solve it. I mean,
We're just-
to add 12 inches a foot, you are talking some serious amount of water to come up that high.
Oh, it's never gonna happen.
No.
Not after we put a nice apron in and, yeah. I thought it was a great idea, and it kind of pushed me over the edge to get the whole rest of the house done. Actually, no, the way we want it, there's too many stairs in there right now.
I see what you're saying though too, Ray. On new construction, something that didn't exist, that didn't have these types of issues.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta kinda hold to a standard, but these instances, I mean, water is destructive. And, but, I mean, it already exists, there's just, I mean, not being able to park in your garage or in your driveway is definitely a hardship. And, having your house below the grade of the street is also a hardship,
Yeah.
so. Dave, did you have something you wanted to add? You look like you did.
Well, given where this property is and its location to the public way that we just talked about, the only impediment to a favorable decision would be probably vehicle access, public safety access. I was thinking about the garbage truck coming down the street, the snow plow, leaf pickup, you know, the things that go on normally. And is this request as amended now such that we would have issues with public safety and public services and access, just general access?
Yeah, well, the garbage truck doesn't even come past my south property line because we put it on the street to the south of our mailbox. The snow plowing, even with our cars on the street, had never been an issue. I was always there and had everything done, so all he had to do is the last 6 feet, if I left that much, And the lead pickup is on the only space available across the street, about 25, 30 feet over, where everybody puts the leaves on the west side of the street in the grass.
Yeah, he's the last house on the street. It's not like you're gonna have to drive by this to get to 4 other houses. I mean, he's at the end.
I will say I did reach out to our public works superintendent, the fire chief, and the police chief, and all of them had concerns about it getting closer, that it would pose public safety risk. There's snow plowing down there and they hit an ice shard, now we're sending an ice shard through somebody's house. The wheels get stuck or something happens, now a plow's in a house. How is the fire tanker gonna be able to get down there and turn around? So and then there was concern about how they would enter and exit from the road if they're that close. So all of my public safety officials had concerns about it extending closer and it posing risk.
I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I see all that, I get it, but
Where he's at now,
you're not turning anything
he
around
still ain't doing any of that.
down there
No.
now.
He's not gonna turn anything.
No, I mean, I have permission from my neighbor to the south, because I do a lot of yard work for her, to back in her driveway when I want to turn around to leave. It's impossible.
He's not creating any bigger safety factor here, or unsafe factor, than what's there now, right?
Isn't one of the setbacks on the front yard and coming closer to the road?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Okay.
suggesting if he looked at it, thought about or talked about. I didn't know our staff had looked at it like that. That does not surprise me and it makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does, but again, the current state of things, you can't, there's no room there now.
And my vehicles are encroaching the street by 6 feet right now.
And that's the only place he's got.
So,
I'm
do you
aware that
have
could be
a
that,
dimension
yeah.
or footprint of the original house or cottage that was here?
Oh, the original?
Just as an idea, I mean,
Oh,
was the,
I can tell you where the original was.
okay.
I know about.
Is the garage where it sits now, was that an addition to this house?
Absolutely, made by an idiot
Well,
that probably didn't have a
Okay.
permit.
It was like that back in the 80s though.
well, I get it, but, you know, a number of things we've talked about here in the last year or so is the petitioner creating his own hardship.
I see what you're
And
saying.
even though he wasn't the owner at the time, the owner that owned this place did create their own hardship with building the garage the way that they did.
Yeah, I guess I can see that side of it, but he didn't do it. You know, he's just trying to fix it.
Well, I get it.
But parking cars in the street, and you gotta get an ambulance or a fire truck down there too. Yeah, I don't see much difference than the way the current parking situation is, and having the garage there the way it is, at least it's off the street.
And then if he has the garage that's feasible, he can put 2 cars in there. He's adding a third area for another car, which he'll be able to turn around in. I mean, he's actually, I think he's giving himself more room than what he has. By doing this, he's gonna have more room to do stuff. Like I said, he can't even put 2 cars in the garage right now.
I'm creating a more public safety area, technically.
And then if he has a side drive on there, there's your place for, I mean, if it's only 11 feet, but it's place for a car to fit to turn around. I mean, right now, there's nothing.
Of course, I always overanalyze everything, but I'm looking at this from a reconstruction for the street aspect, and I'm just wondering, and we already own whatever right of way is there, but I'm wondering if the time comes to do that.
It would pose significant difficulty in order to do any type of reconstruction.
Well, I know.
It would make it hard for any equipment.
I know that, and that's what I'm thinking about. I'm just wondering, and I'd like to go over there and look at it again. I don't wanna hold you up, obviously. Are you thinking spring now?
That's the goal.
Okay. I would like to go over there and just look at the other side of the street and see if there's any way to acquire a little more right of way if, in fact, this can get reconstructed.
NIPSCO has a telephone pole within a foot of the road,
On your side or the other side?
opposite side.
On the opposite side of you?
I might have video.
No, we can see
Okay.
that light.
Yeah, there's an old pole that they abandoned in place that never got removed, and then there's a new pole basically to the south of it that it's probably this far off the road.
No, and you have a gentleman with his driveway
That
right
presents
on through,
challenges.
and he runs parallel with it, and that's across the street from you, and that's, it looks like all of his backyard.
Yeah, that is, that's the neighbor on the corner.
I don't know, you're not gonna make these things perfect. Not here, not in this town.
I can always send, if the board thinks the deferral and order any request, I could always send the updated plans to all the public safety officials and get updated thoughts from them.
If you don't mind doing that, that would give us an opportunity to go and physically look at it again. Did you possibly leave any marks on the ground over there? Did you?
Oh, all the survey marks are there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're quite clear still. And there's one hanging from the fence, and then that other one that was in that photo on the south side.
I like what you guys did, I mean, I like, you know, you're not gonna make this fit today's standards ever, you know, and it exists
It's
already.
unique, and, you know, I didn't move into that place until a year and a half after I bought it. And I never even gave that garage a thought, and when I finally moved in, I'm like, oh my God, you know, I didn't even think about it. Cause I had been renting it out a little bit, and, you know, and I'm open too,
You got cars in a driveway that the driveway is non-existent, or if you got cars in a garage where the garage is where the cars are parked, I mean, what's the difference? It's still a mess.
Hey, that Truman, do you think that Truman Street is 30 feet wide?
No.
I've got a video of it if you guys wanna see.
Might be 20,
I doubt if it's 20.
might be.
On this way. Kathleen Burry for the record.
How you doing? Well, there's the water, and that's always there when it rains.
Yes, sir.
but we have grade, it goes down
But that kinda shows you, you have
slowly.
to see that side of the, that should give you that observation and that angle.
Approximately 18 feet wide. And that's based off of GIS measurements.
Anybody else wanna see this?
Wanna see it?
What is
Shows you the video of when it rains, what we deal with, and it shows you the whole angle of the street going towards our house. So you're more than welcome. There's nothing bad on there.
Yeah, and I know you want to review this, but like, for instance, if the dimension came to 5, you know, and you guys could agree to
I'm
something.
sorry, a 5 where?
That dimension of 5 rather than 6.
Oh, you want, so instead of 6 feet?
Yeah,
come
I
off
mean,
the-
I'm
off the
open to
existing house,
listen
go
to what
5.
you guys recommend in order to just say, yes. Thank you.
Anybody else wanna take a peek at it?
Well, I think for like future, when they eventually are gonna put a road in there and put curbs, so, and that's what they do. They normally curb it, the curbs are probably 16, 18 inches wide, so you'll have on both sides, and then you, wherever they put that at. And getting the construction equipment to put curb and stuff, that's gonna be not a problem. They'll tell you to throw it apart and put curb in it, like, it ain't gonna be, this isn't the problem. It's the problem that they're concerned with is that turnaround, but I think that problem is occurring already with what you have. And you have a water problem.
Yeah, the property to the north, I'm assuming is gonna remain that property. There is no turnaround
No.
available other than using the.
Unless they went into, make it go through into the parking lot of that apartment building.
Or I back all the way up the street, you know, like if I come with a trailer, I back all the way up and.
What is that distance from your place to the cross street?
You figure I've got the neighbor next door,
About 3, doesn't it, John?
probably,
About 150 feet from the south edge of his property to 144.
150 feet?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's 3 properties.
You shouldn't be driving a fire truck if you can't back it up 150 feet.
Well, there's what, those plots, 1, 2, 3.
I can show you how far.
2, 3.
That's 150 feet's good for me.
There's lots of,
There's like 2.5, the neighbor has a wide lot, and then the next guy, but yeah, I guess it is, I wouldn't have even guessed 150, but it's probably right.
So I don't think that there's a concern with turning around with that short of a distance. They should be able to back it up to get out of it, I would think.
I don't think would be a crazy expensive area to reconstruct either, and I think you get a lot of.
Well, in order to do reconstruction, you'd look at taking out at least 2 houses on the south side. You would have to condemn at least 2 properties, because they are on the property line where the road is.
There's
Yeah,
gotta be
yeah, going south of 144th, yes, for sure.
the houses are in the right of way?
They are right on the property line, and the road's right there.
Is that pretty accurate, that picture? I mean, he's got,
It looks like the
the guy in
overhang's on
corner,
the
he's
street.
got,
Are you looking at GIS?
isn't that it?
There's a survey.
I think that's what I'm looking at, yep,
Yeah, I mean, he's all,
yeah.
like where the road is, it's covered, like that road is not even close to being 30 feet, is it?
No, it's only about
What's that,
18
Dave?
feet.
It looks like there's encroachment on, going across.
At least the overhang is hanging over the road, I'd say.
They were built pre-town, 1950s, if I remember right, when I looked at them.
Yeah, so his drive, that guy, John's driveway's right on the line, and so is the garage that's attached, attached garage.
So we already have this in that area, on that street. Well, actually worse than what he's proposing.
So based on the picture, I would say yes.
Does this apartment building's right there, correct?
To the north.
Does their parking area come up to his fence, the property line?
I'd say it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, they actually just resurfaced all that stuff. There's about this much room between the property line and where the asphalt actually begins.
Is it lower or same height?
That's that area, for instance, from the street, that's where that's that high mounted area with these big dead trees. And that's where Tim proposed that we clear those trees out, grade that dirt down, so the water has a place to go there. And then the water will actually then go across my apron, and I also have a little spot and a couple dead trees yet on my property. And if that is all graded, I mean, I shoveled a little ditch through there on that water after it stops pouring, it goes from 8 inches down to nothing in about an hour. So there's about a foot from the west side of that street to the lake in topology. So that's where it would go.
What I was thinking is just like Maplewood's rear entrance there, Eric, if there's an emergency or the truck is there, why couldn't you have a gate there, but the fire department have a lock on it like they do in Havenwood? And then if there's an emergency, they open the gate and they don't have to turn around, they can pull out through the apartment building's parking lot and out.
Is that your fence or is that the apartment building's fence?
I don't even know. I mean, I have cedar fence from just past my garage all the way out to the lake. And it's this crappy old chain link fence.
It's all in the video.
I would assume it's the apartment building.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I mean, it's trashed. I mean, my idea, I hear you, but at the end of all this getting done, I was just gonna finish cedar all the way to across the street. Because that too, if a gate.
I see what he's just trying to create a
Yeah.
solution for the public safety aspect.
They'd have to
of things.
remove 3 parking spots in order to make that happen, I'm sure, on the apartment building side.
It's like about 4.
Is there any way this road extends?
To the north?
I'm looking at what looks like unpassable,
Yeah, that,
so,
the building that used to be the Captain's Wharf years ago, that got converted to an apartment building,
Yeah.
this road deads in right into the edge of that property line.
So, if there was a vacation of a portion of that public way, that was the width of the garage, we would take away some of the variance requests here.
Does that affect the property across the street, though? Might be something that needs to be looked at, too.
I don't know, I'm not trying to give away land, but trying to find a solution where we're not impacting or impairing public right of way, and make this work.
Sell me the street.
Typically, when that happens, you get half and the people across the street get half.
That's right.
But then you have the snow plows, where they push the snow, they have to back in and push it up.
They push it into your yard.
I had asked, jokingly, I think that to you, will you guys sell me the street? That would eliminate everything. They won't do that. I didn't think so, I think the answer was no.
Yeah.
Garbage trucks gotta back down that street now, I bet, don't they?
They pull in,
Do they? But
yeah,
they
because
back
their
out?
lifter's on the right, and they back up to the T and turn out. It's tight, but it works. It's really, it's a beautiful, quiet street, believe it or not.
Would you mind if we took a little time and went over there and had a look at it again? Would that,
Yeah, that's good. I think that I'm gonna be gone away the first couple weeks of December, so I wouldn't be here unless I could somehow maybe get in on stream or,
We have Zoom options available. I can have a link sent to you the day of the meeting.
or y'all make your decision and I come back January. I mean, it doesn't,
we could defer it to January if that helps you. That gives us time, gives you time.
I just won't, I know that I'm gone the first 2 or 3 weeks of December for sure. Yeah.
We'll see you in January.
Yeah, but hopefully this is everything.
If you're good with that, I'm good with it, I mean.
You know that? We're not getting home anyway.
David, since we reopened this, should we call for monsters?
That would be appropriate.
Okay. You mind having a seat for just a second before we make the final decision?
Yeah. The only thing about deferring that gets on me is that I already swiped Stanola, the architect, today.
Hey,
You know?
before we do that, let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
If an instance occurs where this was to get reconstructed, the street correctly with curb and gutter, is there room on the north end of your property to put a catch basin in there if that was necessary to do the street?
Yeah, I mean, basically what I had proposed in the photos was.
I remember you said something like that, but I don't remember
It was to
exactly.
put a structure near the whale box to gather what's coming down and turn it down the south side of my property and continue it with an 8-inch to another structure at the north end of that street like you're talking about. That would be just before that swell that we would like to create by removing the dead trees. And then take 4 6-inch corrugateds out of the top of that structure and run them out towards the lake. So yeah, there's room for a structure.
And you wouldn't be opposed to that either?
No, I mean, when it was interpreted to me that, did I have any suggestions, I had thought pretty good about it before I'd sent in those photos with the comments about the water drainage of what was possibly feasible. So yeah, I thought 2 4-foot deep structures, you know.
And the reason why I'm saying that is the water's all going that way right now, and that's where it's gonna go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way the topography is.
Bottom of the hill, yeah.
If you suggested a vacation, if we did a vacation and did it contingent on some future time where that structure could be put in to add to the infrastructure that protects the water that goes into the lake.
Retain an easement or, access rights if vacation would occur. At least I'd recommend that in a vacation ordinance.
I like the idea of that just for planning purposes. I mean, I don't know when that's gonna happen, but. you
Yeah,
know.
I'm not familiar with the whole idea of vacation and what you guys are talking about.
Well, it just would guarantee that we have an easement and a way when the time comes to put in the infrastructure that is necessary to keep, debris or something that could be cleaned up. to keep
Catch
the-
basin.
Yeah, to
of
keep the
sorts.
debris from going into
Right.
the lake. Because I'm
Understood.
thinking about trying to put this together with the eco restoration that's already underway and what it's gonna take to maintain that going forward.
Yeah.
And, I mean, somebody, obviously if that got improved, somebody would have to approach you at that time to get an easement probably to get that in there, and if we have that in
It would have to
this,
be between me and the property north of me.
yes.
What makes sense to, take whatever, but is there room for, let's just say you put 2 structures in 4 feet deep to let the water flow high? And to pop a couple catch basins in there, if, for instance, the environmental wants to gather what's not going to go into the lake
That's
on
what
an
I'm asking.
annual basis, there's room for that, even with me adding on that north piece of my garage. There's definitely room for that there.
Greg, that's been done. It's been done in Surprise Park in my neighborhood. Bottom 143rd Lane and Lakeshore Drive, there's a catch basin.
Yeah, they're all over town, I've
They're all-
I've gone and looked at them in the past, and they, if they're maintained, they work,
They
if
work.
they're maintained.
That's right.
So, I think that there's a potential here to solve your problem and a potential future, addition to solve another problem. So, I think if you guys don't mind, maybe do a little more research on this to see what's feasible. Maybe even have Don take a look at it,
I'd recommend that you have the engineer look at it, just to make sure.
because I don't think this would be a hard one to do. And, if we had that, then that solves a couple problems. This,
You guys have a contracted engineer that back in the spring, I actually met him when he was out doing his investigation. I don't know if he was technically looking about the water flow, but that was kind of the topic. Because he was there and I showed him my photos of the rain and all that, and so the engineer's been there to see the whole end of that street and to, gather his information already. And I know that's a subcontract, I don't remember the name of the company, but he did complete that, I wanna say March, April?
It would have been Christopher B. Burke Engineering.
Excuse me?
Christopher B. Burke Engineering would have been who would have gone out.
Yes, I believe that's exactly who it was.
That's our town engineering firm that we consult with.
Yeah, so they already came and did a good assessment of the end of that street, and that's all I know. So, that much has been done.
of course, if you don't mind, let's do a deferral, let's do a little work on this and see if we can make a couple things happen here to make some things better, just.
The guy who would wanna do all my construction is retiring at the end of 24.
So here's a crazy concept, but all the changes you're doing, they're changing floors, ceilings, removing roofs. How crazy would it be to take the garage south or east? Out, like, if you move the house more towards the lake and you left that existing, I mean, is there movement to go towards the lake since you got more property there? I don't know what all your beams and your structures in that house are, but it sounds like you're,
The whole master bedroom area is above that garage.
Okay.
And we wanted to anticipate a little bit of growth
okay.
so that we could connect the 2 rooms that we made up there.
I was just trying to figure out how to get the depth in the garage without
Yeah.
getting on the street, and that would take half this battle away, but.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, no problem, that's why I had said, we could talk about 5 feet. 4 feet is my bare minimum,
Mm-hmm.
because internally, I want to grow 4. So that means I need to grow 5
Yeah.
to accomplish that task.
I wanna look at it again.
That's cool.
You might have a seat for just a minute, let me see if we have anybody in the building who'd like to speak. Do we have your administrators for this variance? Any administrators for this variance? Any administrators against? Anyone here to speak against? Do we have any correspondence, Ashley, or
No
anybody online?
No one online for this petition.
All right, we'll close the public portion of this hearing for tonight. You can come back up, please. So you'd like to entertain the motion for a deferral until January?
I do have a minor update. When you've been calculating your lot coverage, you've only been using lots 1 and 2, their total square footage. You are not including that additional square footage that goes out to the lake. So actually, you have square footage of 10,228 feet.
I'll blame that on Stenola. He
So
was the guy that...
even with your proposed changes and the lean-to and shed at the back of the property, you'd only be about a 23.6% lot coverage.
Wonderful.
So you wouldn't need lot coverage.
It's good news.
That's awesome news.
Do we need to revise this and clean this up at all with all these different changes? 'Cause
It needs to be. So you can have clean action when you get to it.
I will, once again, make sure it is cleaned up and appropriate when it's
The first thing I
back
did
on the
was
agenda.
apologize for me reneging on some of the negotiation back in March.
'cause I don't think one number on here matches anything from what we just talked tonight, really. Maybe that 5 feet piece, but.
Well, this is all based on what his discussion with Kubiak today, so,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing kinda
Yeah,
got...
yesterday morning, and so I fast-tracked really fast the whole
Okay.
concept.
You wanna hang on to these?
No,
Okay.
no, I made copies so everybody would have one, so no one was flying blind.
Okay,
And I can send everything to you electronically.
That would be
Tomorrow.
fantastic, thank you.
Yes, to request a deferral.
Yeah, I'll take the deferral, and hopefully January will be our go. And if anybody have questions, if you have a meeting or you're there, questions, just, I want to be proactive so that in January we can have a final proceed.
okay, all right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to defer this to the January 2024 BZA meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second to defer, actions on this request until January. Any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, I guess we'll see you next year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 2 under old business, Olson Group Network LLC, developmental variance in the vicinity of 13920 Butternut Street, Cedar Lake. Do we have a petitioner present?
I'm not seeing them. I was corresponding with them, and they were aware of tonight. I think they were also looking at potentially requesting a deferral, but they never told me which way they wanted to go.
Okay.
They have provided an updated site plan that does show the rear yard setback that they're looking for, and that's the only variance that they would need at this point in time. But again, I don't see them here tonight.
Okay. Does anyone have a problem moving this to the end of the,
I don't know.
end of our agenda, just in case they...
No, I have no problem with it.
All right, so we'll postpone action on this particular item. We'll go to new business, item number 1, developmental variance, Arayu, vicinity of 14425 Hibiscus Way, Cedar Lake. This developmental variance has allowed petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on a corner lot served by sidewalks to be 20 feet from the property line. Mr. Austin?
Legal's in order.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Give us an idea what you'd like to do.
Yeah, I already agreed to the 20 feet in, but I just want a privacy fence. A 6 feet privacy fence, that's all I need. I agreed to all the, I'm sorry, I'm not. I've agreed to go in 20 feet, but I just need a privacy fence. I don't want the semi-privacy because I have little ones. And I also have a pet, and that's all. I'm not going off the property line or anything.
So this would be a fence then, obviously along, what is that, 144th
Right by the corner, yeah.
Court?
Yes.
We did one of these in here already, didn't we? What do we do with that one? Do you
The Rose
remember?
Garden?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, it was approved for a 6-foot privacy fence, provided that they stayed 20 feet away from the from the property line.
And it had the 50% see-through, right?
They got a 6-foot privacy on that one. They just had to be 20
20
feet.
feet.
That one they had requested to go all the way to the property line, and they amended their request at that meeting to be the 20 feet back to meet
Okay.
that portion of the ordinance.
Now, Hibiscus is just what, how many houses, we have 2, maybe, what, 6 properties that are actually affected, that are listed as being Hibiscus Way?
I think it's about 6.
It is 6.
That's over in Rose Garden.
Well, I know, I'm just looking to
It kind of
see.
curves around.
Right.
and that, so it's not like it's just one street, it blends into other streets.
Do they have any fencing restrictions for their PUD?
I don't know, is there a copy of, did you get approval from the HOA?
Yeah, I did get approval
She
from the
did.
HOA and it's ready to action.
Pardon?
But she did receive HOA approval. I got it from her yesterday, so it's not in your iPads. But she did receive approval from the HOA on October 4th.
And that had placement on it?
It did, yes. So she was approved for her style of fence, the location of the fence, and the 6-foot privacy.
The HOA approved it, they gave,
Yes.
Yeah, I think I got a copy on my phone too.
if they don't care, I don't know why we care.
This is gonna be that white vinyl fence that's quoted here?
Yeah, it's the white vinyl, that's all we can get.
Is that by covenant through the HOA?
Is it what?
Is that part of the covenant of the HOA that it's a white vinyl?
Yeah.
They have
They
no,
just said-
they,
yeah, just a white
they
vinyl.
don't allow any other colors, or that's just your choice?
No, to my knowledge, it's white vinyl. Everybody has a white vinyl and I think that's why.
And I guess my question is that, since you're moving out away from the house, how many feet?
20 feet in, right? I'm
How-
going 20
what's-
feet
What's
from
your
the house.
dimension from your side yard along 144th to the edge of your property? Is that 20,
It's
I think
20.
it's like about
is
27.
that 27 3/4, 2774?
Yeah,
I think I
it's
did
a little blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's about 27 1/4. So she'll be about 7 feet out from our house, going down to 20
Okay.
foot.
And she's gonna be 20 feet away off the road?
Mhm.
20 feet away off the road.
I guess my
That's what we
question
did the
is,
last time,
is
wasn't
there
it?
any particular reason why you can't just stay within the wording and the verbiage of the ordinance, since it's only 7 feet?
It's just, I'm going to stay away, like you said, but I just want a privacy fence because of my little ones and my dog. I'm right by the road, and I think I just want something close. And I have babies, they're all little, and,
Okay.
that's just the only reason. If it was just me and my husband, it's fine, but it's just the kids.
Okay. Getting discussion with your neighbors across the street?
I haven't seen my neighbor across, but I saw my other neighbor this afternoon, and I explained to him, the one across the street I haven't, and, I don't think I have, but I've seen my other neighbors, and I've spoken to them about the fence, and the only reason why I'm getting the fence is just because of the gate. Like I said, if it's just me, I'm fine, I don't, but them running out or screaming or staying outside of the, like running across the street and everything, and I just want something close.
Okay. Any future plans for a pool or?
Not to my knowledge, no. I think we have a community pool, so I'm fine. I don't think I'll get a private pool.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions at the moment?
No.
You might have a seat for just a minute, please. Do we have any remonstrators for this variance? Any remonstrators for? Anyone here remonstrating against this variance? Anyone against? Ashley, anybody online? Anybody?
No, online.
No correspondence with this one either?
No.
Then we'll close the public portion of this hearing. All right, I'm sorry, you can yo-yo back up now, please. It was just that fast. Building department?
This is similar to, like I said earlier, the other corner lot that we approved earlier this year, 6-foot privacy fence on a corner lot. She's staying 20 feet back. And as she alluded to, the reason she's asking for it is for consideration of, or safety of her children. But other than that, no, we have no problems with it. She's maintaining vision triangles. She's staying off the back of her house. We didn't foresee or see any impact to pedestrian or vehicular traffic.
Okay. Okay, and there is a utility or 6-foot easement?
There's a 20-foot public utility and drainage easement, and that's the line she's following. So
And how about along the back and the south side of the property?
she does have a 12-foot utility easement there and a 6-foot along the southern property line. We do require everybody who obtains a fence permit that's going over an easement to send an easement waiver or a fence waiver form, that they are aware of that they are crossing over an easement, which is allowed by ordinance. But if any work needs to be done in that easement, it's at the owner's cost to remove and replace.
Okay, and you're comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, any board discussion?
I don't have any.
No.
This is a developmental variance, so the decision would be made by this board.
Please remember findings.
Findings of fact.
Correct.
Are you asking for a motion?
I'm sorry, I'm asking for a motion.
I'll make the motion for development variance to allow the purchaser to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the corner lot by the sidewalks to be 20 feet from the property line to find the fence.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to approve as requested by Mr. Parker.
With finding.
Per findings of fact.
I mentioned that.
He said it.
Hey, that,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
no,
Mr. Buggy?
No. Motion passes on a vote of 3-2. Your side.
Can I ask David Austin a question right quick? On these, Dave, on these fence things that have an HOA, is it possible for these subdivisions to just make their own decisions on the fences rather than have to come before?
You can, in the PUD agreement, cede that authority that you have under the Indiana law to the entity, the homeowners association. They do have an architectural committee.
I think we could save a lot of time just doing that. I mean,
That's a call for the legislators in our zoning ordinance.
Okay. Just
We
curious.
do it all the time. Like, I mean, all of Havenwood, it seemed like we all had this problem. The problem was they started, one somebody gave authorization for one to do it, and one time Mr. Jones got it, the next guy had the same opportunity. How can you, why he would have the same problem? Once you start it, it's gonna keep going then. But, I mean, she's doing exactly what they're asking.
Yeah.
You know, she's 20 feet off the road, so we're all good, we're in good anyway, right?
You saw this in Monastery Woods North too. Saw it in Centennial.
You're good. Good luck with your fence.
Yep.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any more discussion, if you want?
It runs away too. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Well, it's just that, it seems like, you know, a little consistency here. I guess I think that's the only thing that John and I
Oh, yeah.
have any kind of,
This fence thing always drives me insane. I mean, I just would like, especially in these subdivisions that have an HOA or a POA, let them decide what they're gonna get and just come in here and get a permit and make it a lot simpler. And
Well, Greg, my experience was we had them fill out for the HOA, they would fill out the permit, and then that would just be approval of what they're making. Our placement was based on the town. You know, that's the placement of everything that was done through, and I can only speak on when I was a part of Havenwood. I mean, everything was built to the specs of the town of Cedar Lake. Placement was already drawn up for the town of Cedar Lake, so they would come in and say, I want to put a shed in, and then all we do is simply make sure it's being built to the spec that was required by the subdivision. The placement comes down to the town of Cedar Lake. You know, they could say whatever they want, what they want. It's, your guys, the town of Cedar Lake, when they go to do their permit, that will show where the actual placement up. You know, because how many people wanted their fences to go up farther on their house? Well, you try to stay consistent to be a.
don't wanna.
If they were within the ordinances, they didn't have to come here. You just,
Correct.
we would, yeah. we
Correct,
would
I mean,
just
the only
approve
time
it
pretty
and-
much that we get a fence issue is the side, you know, those, when it's, affecting the road, you know, and coming down the side of, like, what this lady
Yeah.
decided to do.
So, I mean, basically what you're saying is what we were doing at Haven, when Eric and I were both on the building committee there, and, they would come in, as long as they met the ordinances, we signed off, and they could go ahead to town and get a permit with the sign-off sheet. But like the one guy, he wanted to put the fence right on the sidewalk, and he had to come for a variance, and we refused it, because it would've been, it just didn't fit, you know?
Mhm.
And safety and side of view, it all comes into play, so,
Yeah.
I do, Greg, I do think that it works, as long as it's followed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Item number 2 in, new business, developmental variance, Luigi and Camelina Ranieri, in the vicinity of 7528 West 128th Court, Cedar Lake. They are requesting a developmental variance to allow, construction of a 32-foot by 24-foot garage on a lot without a residential structure. Do we have a petitioner present?
He's online via Zoom.
He's online via Zoom. Okay.
I'm here.
Would like to give us your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Luigi Ranieri. The address is 7528 128th Lane, Cedar Lake.
Okay. All right. And David, legals are in order?
Legals are in order.
Do you want to give us an idea what you'd like to do?
I'd like to put a garage on the back corner of the property, on the corner there, prior to building a home. Last time I did this was a month or two ago. I misunderstood. I didn't understand that I had a year to build the home, and when I got off the phone and told my other half that I canceled it, she said, why? And I explained, and she said, well, I don't have a problem putting a house a year after the garage. I said, well, I was under my misunderstanding, and I called Ashley a couple of days later, and she said I had to redo the variance again, so I agreed to everything and looking to put a garage, the stuff that I need up there and I use up there right now, that I keep all around, instead of putting them on the property, on the grass or on some stones, both reports.
I have a question. 24 by 32 exceeds the square footage for a monolithic slab, doesn't it?
I believe so.
It's 768 square feet.
Yeah, anything over 200 square feet needs a bigger,
So you have to have a foundation, footing.
Have to have a 36-inch foundation to get that under 2 feet. So long as he knows that, you know.
So just to refresh, you're allowed to build a structure of like the garage, but then you have to have a resident there with another house.
I think
Has to be built in 1 year.
it has to be started within 1 year, isn't it, Dave?
It started,
I'm just trying to get refreshed, that's all I'm asking.
yeah.
the way the ordinance is written is you can't have an accessory structure without a primary structure first being on that lot. This lot has no primary structure, so he is asking to build the garage first, and then within a year start the building of the house.
Dave, what will we use for a guarantee that he builds the house if we grant a variance for him to build the garage first? I mean, he builds the garage, he could come in and say, well, interest rates went up, or this happened, or that happened, I can't do it now he's got a garage. How do we make sure that he follows through with what he's proposing?
You, tag him at 1 year and stop everything that's happening on that property. That's really all you have, you know, this isn't like a subdivision plat where you would have surety, you have a performance bond. You're not gonna go onto a single-family home property and build a house or start building a house for him. So, it's really, difficult to enforce.
Because we don't allow garages on.
Could you request something like a surety bond?
Well, you could, but, so you go and collect the security bond, let's say the time period expires. Are we, as the town, gonna go on a platted lot, and parcel, in which an approval's been given to build a house and build that house? I doubt it.
Right.
That's the impracticality of surety, in this sense.
Could a demolition be required if the house doesn't get built?
Well, then you face issues of inverse condemnation
Mm-hmm.
and taking. Again, the use of the property might be the biggest sword and stick you have, and preventing that or precluding it by tag.
Is there anywhere in town that
There'd be also probably fines, penalties, you know, those types of things under the zoning ordinance.
I mean, the practical part of me doesn't mind working with someone that wants to build a house, especially if they're doing some of the work themselves, to have some place to work out of while they're doing it. But we know what happens, I mean, in some of these areas, like there's one in Mr. Bunge's neighborhood that has turned into a nightmare since these things happened, and
Well, the common sense thing would be, and if I were representing this gentleman, he found himself in that position, I'd recommend that he appear before you on a request for extension of time. And come to you with what happened, what's going on in this property, why isn't it completed, why wasn't the agreement fulfilled? And we see it on zoning lots all the time, PUDs get extended. You get those requests at the Plan Commission, and extensions are granted. Those are the kinds of ways that we can keep our thumb on the responsibility of the property owner together with our responsibility to make sure it happens.
Do you have plans for your house and garage?
She's looking at blueprints already, not that I don't have one picked out. I actually tried to require the blueprint in my neighborhood that the school built, and there's a couple other new homes in my area, so I'm certainly not looking to make the area look worse than it is. My idea of spending the money for the garage would be because I just didn't wanna leave stuff out in the, I think it's personal, again, it's an eyesore to see all the stuff on and around people's property, not in a garage or a home garage. So I've got a blueprint for a garage, it's about $35,000 to build there. And the home, she's looking to build a 1,600 or 1,800 square feet, single family ranch, but do I have an actual print today? No, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm trying to get past the garage first. I'm sure she would like one if you give her that chance.
So the garage will not wind up being attached to the house?
No, sir.
Okay, will you have electricity in this garage before you build the house?
If I'm allowed to, if it's a possibility, or just a garage without electricity. I would certainly pay for the electricity or the electrical work to be done in the garage if it was allowed. I'm going all by, I'm blind here because I don't know how the rules of Cedar Lake, so if I was told I can't have power, and I don't have power. If I told I had to have power, I would contact the power company of Cedar Lake and connect it to a service. I don't know what building commissioners and building department rules are on that.
See, I would like you to have house plans, because that kind of tells me that you're gonna build it. So I refer back to what Greg was questioning, you know, how do we guarantee that you build it? So that's the reason I asked that question.
So, I mean, I could give you a house plan, but what if in the middle of it, she decides she wants to change it? So then I'm gonna take.
You marry her. I got the same problem at home.
I understand the problem. I mean, I do not have prints for the home. I do have prints for the garage. The prints I do have electric, but only because that's how it comes. And if it's not allowed to have electric, it doesn't matter. I have no problem. I'm not trying to make the area look bad. I'm looking to spend $350, $400 on a home, single family dwelling, 1,800, 15, 16, 1,800 square feet, and I'm not looking to do this as a way to make the neighborhood look worse. I personally think that all the stuff that they have on properties that aren't in garages are an eyesore. With weeds growing through them, dirt growing through them,
Well, nobody should have anything on a vacant lot if there's nothing on the lot. I mean, that's already outside the town's ordinance.
And again,
That's for anything, am I right?
That's why I thought of the garage, because I spent time there, I was actually there on that property putting in trees Saturday and Sunday on my lot. And I was just driving around the neighborhood and I saw more and more garages without single-family homes. Obviously, they're gonna have them, so, and I just thought, let me do that. Let me put that up so I can get my stuff and my family up there on weekends and fill this happen. So that's why I did this variance twice.
What's your suggestion? I mean, electric is out until he pulls a permit to build the house, in my mind, you know. If he wanted to build something for storage to work out of while he's building the house, I could get my mind around it if you give me a legal, protection that makes sure that he follows through.
We could probably do a use commitment type instrument that would be recorded against the property and give the town, some enforcement authority. That probably could be done. If the problem is winning, I would win. I would prevail for the town on that court filing. But what do you win when you win? And particularly if a storage facility has either been started, completed, or is done.
Well,
And the house doesn't fall in a year like
Mhm.
you contemplate. So Winning doesn't tell me the town is protected in the enforcement of an agreement made here or an approval made here with conditions. That didn't help, did it?
I think being the size that it is, it's not like it's gonna be a prefab garage. I mean, 32 by 24, it's pretty big. He's gonna,
I don't think he's even gonna wanna build a 20.
he's gonna pump up some money in there with that size.
The cost is gonna be so much more for that extra 2 feet. He's gonna wind up building a 24 by 30 is what he's gonna do, because it's gonna be a lot cheaper.
I mean, he still has to do a footing.
Yeah, but it's a monolithic versus a 36-inch footing. And that's a big expense.
Well, you could trench it, do a trench for it.
Well, what you're saying is I could do a 24 by 30 on monolith, or on the 24 by 32, I have to do a foundation?
Yes.
Well, let's change that. I would do, like you said, I would do a 24 by 30. It's a 2-foot difference. I see, for the 2 feet to put a foundation up all the way around.
Yeah, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on that, not for that.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't know, again, I don't know what the rules are, because I'm new to Cedar Lake. If the 24 by 30, I can do on a monolithic floor, then I would just as soon have that. I'm looking for somewhere to make it nicer and put stuff until I'm done, until I'm building this home. I'm not looking to
Yeah,
destroy it.
I understand what you wanna do. I just wanna make sure there's an anchor to follow, or at least the start of an anchor within 1 year. And you're right, there are a few of these around town, there's not a lot of them. There's a few of them, but they become nuisances also if no one follows through or the anchor property isn't maintained. And no one, and I'm sure that I can speak for everybody sitting here tonight, no one is wanting to make that type of a situation here. So you are gonna be required to have a permit pulled and a plan presented within 1 year of the completion of this garage, if you choose to do it.
Right.
And I don't know what the penalty's gonna be for that, but that's gonna have to be negotiated. I don't think we're gonna sit here and say that we're gonna do this tonight. But, there's gonna have to be something decided before any of, this is gonna have to be contingent on something.
Okay.
Well, failure to fulfill the terms of an approval that you give is violation of the zoning ordinance. So there'd be a zoning code violation, enforcement, fines, penalties, that type of thing.
What's an example of the fine and penalty on something like that?
Well, we don't do that a lot to our citizens here in Cedar Lake. But it could be as difficult as having an injunctive type order from a trial court with penalties, fines, and the like appended to it. We've had that happen.
Could a fine be agreed to on the approval?
Absolutely. It could be.
And it would need to be something that is punitive enough that urges him to complete this project.
It hurts.
Mr. Rashid, I have a question about Mr. Parker's comment. If a fine is included in the approval, would it then follow the regulation portion of the zoning ordinance that says every day of noncompliance is an additional fine, so that fine would then be accrued every day until?
The reason actually they can make an agreement or negotiate is because this situation is unable to be calculated. You cannot put a number on it. So it's called liquidated damages, agreed liquidated damages provision that could be agreed upon.
Okay.
But I agree with you, and the 1402 says that, and every day continued violation is a new offense.
If it's in the agreement when it's approved, though, it is enforceable.
It could be, and it probably should be in an instrument of recordation, so it runs with the land, so the property owner can't disappear and not
Sell
have
up
this
somebody else.
run with the land.
So, did you hear all that?
Yes, I did, and from what I understood, from when I got my permit to build the garage, according to what I was told, I have a year to build the garage and get it done under road.
A year to build the garage, and a year to build the house.
Correct.
That's 2 years.
No, well,
No.
within a year of use, of this agreement, whatever we make with you, that a house, is planned and started within
1 year of completion of the garage.
1 year.
Completion or from date of this approval?
I'm thinking it's fair to say completion, because he can't use the thing until it's completed.
I tried to get this done before, and I'm kind of pressed for putting concrete in now, and no power, which is not a problem.
I'm good with that.
Size, that's not a problem, but I don't know what weather permitting. I mean, you're telling me I have to build the garage before snowfall?
No. Whenever you pull the permits for the garage, and you finish the garage, and the garage has occupancy and it's completed, within 1 year of that day, you have to be started on building that house.
Okay, that's what I said earlier. I have a year from when I'm under roof and occupancy.
Yes. Now, the day that you I would say from the time that you have your foundation in for the house, it would be practical for you to have an electric meter in the garage at that time, so you got power to work with.
Right.
But that would be when you've pulled your permit for your residence.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest for part of the agreement
Clock
as well.
starts ticking when I pull the permit to start the garage.
The clock starts ticking once the garage is completed.
Okay. And when I pull, because if I can't get concrete in now, I'm not gonna pull the permit, even if I get the variance to do it, I'm not gonna pull the permit while the snow runs out. I'll wait till it melts and then put the garage.
I think that's, yeah, correct. So you would have all next spring and summer to, build and complete the garage.
Right.
And then if your garage was completed and you got your final inspection and occupancy, like, let's say it's July 15th of next year,
Okay.
then you would, your clock would start then to have, your plans and your house started by, July 15th of then, what, 25?
Right. I mean, the dates are changeable only, like I'm going off of what I understood is, when I start my garage, when it's done, that's when the clock starts.
And you'll be required to finish that garage within 1 year.
Correct. 2 years. From when I pull the permit, I have a year to finish that garage.
Yes.
I understand that.
Clean work site.
And it will probably be, it'd have to be a clean work site too. We're not gonna, I mean, you need to put this on paper, we need to have a little better submittal, then we need to add contingencies to it. But this probably needs to be deferred for at least 1 month, I'd say, until you have all that done. And then we'll work on the contingencies in the next BZA meeting and see if we can get you an approval for that, but I mean, that's what I'm thinking in my head right now.
Okay, so we're gonna go with what are we in, we're in November, we're gonna go to December?
Correct.
Okay.
You're gonna need more than what you got.
Okay, so am I coming in with a permit, a print for the garage?
Yes, something that shows the actual garage, not just a square on
Right,
On a map.
location of the garage.
Oh, yeah, we need is it a site plan basically, isn't it, Dave?
It is.
Lot survey.
And he has he has a hand-drawn, identification or location on this on the surveyor report.
That was just to show where it was gonna be on the property.
Yeah, but it needs to have dimensions and it needs to be,
Okay.
you know, some type,
Setbacks.
Surveyor's been out there. It just
yeah,
needs,
just,
no
the
hand
sur-
drawings.
the surveyor could put that, whatever you wanna build on that site,
Okay.
based on what the ordinance requires.
And don't we need an 8-foot space from that? We've got a 6-foot drawn in there.
It's
Yeah,
six.
It'll have to
It's
be
a 6-foot setback.
It's
six-
six from side and rear,
from the side yard.
and rear yard, mhm.
And then he's got 30 off the road.
And that's what I was told the setback was. Actually, it'll be more. I'll move it back to the back of the corner, about 6 feet from the both sides.
Ashley can help you out with all that.
Okay.
You have any other questions?
Not at the present moment, so should I leave the next meeting open for when we're gonna do it? So I can get everything,
Whenever you're ready to present it,
okay.
talk to Ashley and do it then.
We just have a deadline of the week of the meeting. Everything that you have and finalized that you want to be brought up in the meeting has to be in by Friday
No.
at noon.
Yep, Friday noon the week prior. So the next weekday meeting is December 14th. I would need any plans, or additional information submitted to me by December 8th at noon.
Okay, and that's providing I can get the surveyor to do it. If not, we can go to the next month. And I can just do that.
Yep, you just let me know and, submit a electronic request for a deferral and I can get that in front of the board.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
You have to ask for a deferral now.
Can I have a deferral? No responders?
Okay, hold on. All right, yeah, we better do one more piece of business here real quick. All right, hold on. Do we have any remonstrators for this variance? Any remonstrators for?
My name's Jerry Wilkening, I live at 10826 West 131st Avenue. Is this gonna be the garage for the home? Because if the home's built with a garage, now we have an accessory building that has no permission, don't we?
The house you're
Structure.
proposing to build is not gonna have an attached garage, correct?
I thought it did, yes.
Now we have another problem.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, he only has that problem when he goes to pull permit for the house. He's not gonna be able to have an attached garage if the structure already
He
exists.
can't build the house with an attached garage because he doesn't have permit for the accessory building, right?
Right.
Permission, and there goes, so then you can't build a house for him here. So you can't build a house yet.
So I can't build a house with a garage attached?
Correct.
You can't have two accessory, what's that ordinance say, Dave?
That's exactly what it says, you can't have two.
Can't have two.
Right.
You can have a maximum of 2 accessory structures and 1 principal structure.
So your attached garage would be considered an accessory structure, and you would be automatically over the square footage of what you're allowed once that garage exists.
For the accessory building.
If it's attached, it's considered part of the primary structure.
But then then this becomes an accessory building.
Which is, we allow for a maximum of 2 by ordinance.
What's the square footage maximum on that, though?
For lot coverage,
Well,
Yeah,
for
depends what the lot
what
coverage
he's
is.
allowed for that size lot.
oh,
There's a
he's
num-
under,
There's a number on that, I don't know what it is.
he's under.
7,000, 728?
Well, this thing's gonna be 728.
The lot itself is 11,875 square feet.
He's building an 1,800 square foot house.
He's allowed up to an 800 square foot accessory structure size if it's 30 by 24. At 720, it's 80 feet under the maximum accessory structure size allowable.
No, so it is allowable then.
That's correct. We had a guy do that last month. He had a house, had a garage, he built another garage. I mean, this guy is doing it backward, he means building
It's
a
backwards, yeah.
workstation on his
Well,
property.
that's not an issue, Jerry.
But he doesn't have permission for the accessory building, right?
That'd be a variance if he had the house up.
The detached accessory,
Yeah.
that's what this is about.
Yeah.
It's contingent on him building the house.
No, because he's building a garage, right? But he's got a garage in the house.
He can, per the ordinance, from what she's explaining, as long as this is under that square footage, the accessory building, now, he's not gonna be able to build another shed or anything, he's gonna be maxed out then, isn't he, Ashley?
He would have about 80 square feet to build an additional accessory structure. Altogether, depending on the size of house he built, he's only allowed about 2,900 square feet of lot coverage. So if he's doing an 1,800 square foot lot, or 1,800 square foot house, he's about 27, so he'd be at about a 23% lot coverage, roughly. So he'd be tight on lot coverage and any additional accessory structure past that. But by the way the definitions are structured in the ordinance.
Come on back up here.
If it's attached by way of roof, it's considered part of the primary structure.
This says a garage on a lot without a residential structure, primary structure. That's what this is for.
We're attaching a primary structure to it, though, within 1 year.
Right, this isn't, but this building then becomes the accessory building if there's a garage. Oh, but you're saying if it's smaller than what's allowed, then we're good.
Yes,
Okay, got it.
and it is. The 32 wasn't, but the 24 by 30 is.
Okay. Terry Broaders, 14513 Morris. There's been a lot of discussion on this situation of multiple properties in town, work being done without permits, improper usages, and always the same comeback that once they get it, there's not much you can do about it, and not much to change it.
But Terry, we're gonna make sure.
Mr. Parker, could I please just finish my statement?
Absolutely.
It's in my head, and I
But
don't want
this
to
is
forget
not,
it.
but Terry, this is not what we're doing.
But we have a situation here where you guys just spent an hour of legal time and all of your time, where you guys have done more work to help him change the rules for himself, for hardships that he's created for himself, for his fun toys that he wants to store, for his, and he doesn't want to have an eyesore. Well, the storing it on the ground is already a violation. That's man-made, that's personally made hardship. The garage is already not allowed. And there's been so many times I've asked these questions when I came in, and boy, I never got any kind of help like I've watched over and over again. People getting help from this board and many others, including legal, that you have to understand, when you guys are figuring out solutions for people that create their own hardship, that's costing the taxpayers dollars. It's costing the taxpayers dollars because it took an hour for Dave to be involved with this conversation, which is just so black and white. The new rule book, I remember when Chris Salata sat in that chair, and Dave and you guys all worked on the new rules, remember? And we were gonna follow them. But since that new rule book, I've sat in this chair, in that back corner, for 2 years, just over 2 years now, and watched time and time again the rules get swept under the rug for who's ever.
Sir, would you like to stick to whether or not you're with?
Well, I'm just trying to clarify why you guys want to change so many rules for this gentleman, for no reason whatsoever. The house should be built first. Hold on, you're changing the rules, because if you say he could build up the garage first, and he gets a 1-year permit for that, then he gets a 1-year permit for the house, so that's 2 years before he starts the house. Let's clarify it to where it's just black and white. Let's not throw a bunch of smoke around and help this gentleman climb through all the hoops that I've been shut down on multiple occasions, Mr. Buggy. Now, I've been round and round and round the block again, just trying to get you guys to understand, if you write the rules, then it's your job to enforce them and follow them. You can't just keep helping every client. You just can't keep helping every customer and every resident that comes through that wants to change the rules for their personal gain, like parking equipment on gravel where he's earning an income. That's not his personal trailer or his personal truck or his personal tools. That's income being made when your decisions are being done, when you're changing the rules on the fly constantly.
You need consistency to have a great town. And am I for it or am I against it? I would love to build that on my property. So I'm gonna ask you right now, if I come before you with that request, will I get the same love? I doubt it. Thank you.
Has this been done before?
Yes.
Then nobody's creating any new rules, and if you wanted to build something on your property, and you came in here and made a request just like that to build the garage with the same requirements that this gentleman is gonna have, the answer is yes, you would get it.
Oh, I get the option to come and ask for it, Greg, but let's face it. Come on, really?
I think,
Just let it.
Terry, I understand your passion, but
You understand my
I
angle over this situation, because I have a neighbor who violated every rule under the sun based on you guys giving them the electric.
Now, quiet.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any other remonstrators either for or against this variance? Anyone online, Ashley?
No one other than petitioner.
Any other correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay.
All right, when we come, after he comes back and we decide to, if we so decide to approve his request, we will put down certain stipulations in here as we do with any variance request that is granted. Part of these stipulations will be the size of this building, and we may have to change the terminology we're using here from garage to an accessory building until he gets his house built with the attached garage. So there's some verbiage we have to figure out. There's also things we have to put in there, like clean job site, which would be required. That's not breaking the rules for anybody. That's setting up criteria to get the project done.
But you already have criteria.
Shut up, you're not up there.
I'll be back up, sir.
You have to learn to keep your damn mouth shut.
You gotta follow the rules.
So do you. That's one of the rules.
Thank you.
Okay, carry on.
All right, so you're agreeing to come back, next month with a punch list as far as, timetables and, better site plan?
Yes, I am, I will, and I'll be in touch with Ashley through between now and then and let you know how it transpires. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was an issue there,
It's a contentious issue for Mr. Broadhurst because he has a nuisance issue like this near his property right now, and I understand his passion about it. I get it, because he's been put through the ringer. But we're not interested in creating other ones. We're interested in working with you and helping you find solutions, because that's the right thing to do, but we're not interested in creating other nuisance situations.
And I understand that, and I'll be in touch with Ashley, as long as I know I can come back in front of you guys and further this situation.
Okay, so you are officially requesting a deferral?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, gentlemen.
All right, any other board comments? I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant this deferral to, the December BZA meeting.
I'll second.
All right, motion made by John, second by Greg to, accept the deferral to the December, public hearing. Questions on the motion?
No.
Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Buggy?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. See you next month.
Thank you.
Item number 3, Casa Bush LLC, developmental variance, 8602 West 131st Avenue in Cedar Lake. This developmental variance has allowed petitioner to install a 20-foot by 20-foot garage to be located approximately 2.5 feet from the east property line, 1 foot from the rear yard property line, 2.5 feet from the deck, and 7.5 feet from the existing house on the legacy lots. Mr. Austin?
We do not have labels for this.
This item needs to be deferred. I contacted the petitioner today because I had not received any proof of publication by this afternoon. They advised me that they misunderstood when I told them everything needed to be published by October 27th, and they thought everything had to be published after the variance was heard. So they have been corrected and told they need to advertise 10 days prior, have been provided updated variance information to advertise for the December meeting, so this needs to be deferred.
Okay. Okay, since no action can be taken, I guess this is,
I'll make a motion to defer it.
I'll second it.
motion made by Greg, second by Eric, to defer. Any questions on the motion?
No, sir.
Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
Yes. Passes unanimously 5-0. All right, now I guess, we back up to Olson Group.
I still want to see the petitioner.
Should just defer till next month and see.
They did present some information.
They
Last
did,
month?
they finally got, the site plan from their, surveyor to have the setback lines on there, and when they presented it last month, they were meeting all requirements except for the rear yard setback, which was at, 23.59 feet, but our, requirements do require a petitioner being present to present their petition.
Remember that was like, remember they thought, we thought there was a road, there's no road. I
Right.
remember this one.
Well, yeah, we do. Okay,
Need a motion.
I guess we just need a motion to do, I guess we could act, but the thing to do would be to defer.
I'll make a motion to defer that item as well.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Greg, seconded by Eric, to defer. Questions on the motion?
no.
Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
Yes. Public comment? Anybody? Last call? Motion to adjourn?
Hey, coming up.
Hey, Terry?
Can I speak first?
Can I say
I
one
would
thing?
like to apologize.
Can I
I would
say-
be start out apologizing to the whole entire board for my outburst.
Can I say one thing to you?
My,
Let me say one thing to you. I know that situation down there by you is, for you two guys, it's embarrassing that it has gotten to the point that it's gotten to. And the people that have let it get there should be embarrassed. But I assure you that is gonna get resolved. I assure both of you that situation is gonna get resolved. Okay? And so at this point going forward, let's not take what's happened there and take it out on other people.
again, I'd like to finish my statement by
Sure,
apologizing to the
absolutely, I
board.
just wanted to say that.
Thank you for that, Greg, thank you, because me and you see eye to eye on a lot of things. And if we exchange heated words here, I hope that doesn't ever translate to the parking lot, because I like you a lot.
Not for me, and I like you too, not,
you
if
know
it's
where
not
I'm
for
at.
me, it's not gonna do that, but Terry, there's situations that come in here that have to be, that's what the variance process is.
I understand it.
They don't always have to be, but it is our job to
Somebody
decide
just
whether.
walking through that door is not a given, at any one given time.
Oh, not knowing. So, there's a couple things I wanted to, after my apology, you do have to understand, as Greg, mentioned, there's a lot of, passion behind my words, a lot of, thought. Not one of them wrong, because again, you guys wrote the rules, you know. If you
sit here for an hour and you try to help a fella out instead of doing what I've been told, bring in a drawing, bring in a survey, spending $20,000 with an engineer and show us what you got. Or, better yet, make them pull the house permit at the same time like they do in most other places. And I don't know if that's a standard here, but most of the time that's usually a standard. Secondly, you guys talk about all the repercussions of fines and all of these things. Well, as you know, the law states, once he gets in it, you can't do anything about it. You can fine him, and you can lien his property, but in all reality, what does that do for the rules? He got his way, and you guys helped him in a sense. Well, when you talk about fines, would they be a fine monthly? Would that be compounded interest on those fines if he didn't pay it monthly?
That's up to a judge.
But the thing is do we want to have to pay you to find out, Dave? Because we have it in the rule book now that says he can't do it. So you're okay with it, I know, because them were hours in court for you, and I get you to build a town. I understand that, but what we're trying to say is that there are rules in place. Ashley knows them because me and her have discussed them at length. In fact, I could quote her. She quoted what she said tonight is 100% true. I mean, I could go on and on about why not. The question is why do you? If you have the rules, then why pay all the legal fees to make these exceptions? Why spend all this time with all these boards instead of saying, pull the permit on the house, put the garage in it, build the garage first, fine, you have a year to complete the whole entire task, come in for an extension at the first year. That's how it should have been done. I mean, I don't sit in your seat, but trust me, I've built enough homes and pulled enough permits to know how it should have been done. It's unfortunate that I have to feel this angry tonight because I really didn't want to even have to stand up and speak, but again, if the rules are there and there was so much, because again, when I bought my property 2 years ago, everybody I spoke to in this village hall, prior and present, all had the same thing. Nope, the rules are rewritten. This is what they are, and we plan on following them. And that has not been the case in the 2 years I've been coming to these meetings. We made a lot of exceptions. In fact, we helped probably 75% of people come in here with the development and how to get it done, and suggestion after suggestion, suggestions I never got, actually. So, who's going to be in charge of collecting the fines? Now we're talking administrative fees. We're talking to people that got to go and find out if they're following the rules. You understand the amount of money that's going to be tacked onto this decision after the fact? Now, hold on. I'm not done, Mr. Bungie. Normally when you pull a permit like this, you're not even supposed to put stuff in the garage until you have occupancy, right?
You have to have the completed.
So, in other words, we're going to give him a year to build a garage. He's going to want to put his stuff in the garage before he gets the occupancy because he's going to want the whole year. Then he may even come and ask for an extension on the garage. Who knows? This may go on and on and on. But the best part is you guys have the authority to say, you know what, let's do it right. Let's follow the rules in the book that have been written, and we paid a lot of money for Chris to write them. And I hope that you guys understand the amount of cost that goes into a bad decision. Because now you got all the type of costs with inspectors, follow-up, Ashley's hours that she's going to have to investigate. And, next thing you know, we're going to be getting helicopter pictures of the property like we have over on the gravel parking. This stuff costs money. It costs money on the backside. And this is the money that most taxpayers don't ever really know about. Everything, every bad decision adds up to a lot of taxpayers' dollars to monitor, correct when it's wrong. I mean, you can't kick a guy out legally, Dave, you can help us here. Can you kick a person out of the property once they have the occupancy?
Probably not.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Terry.
I'd just like to keep it professional, though, and leave you a little bit alone here.
I just want to say something. What this gentleman is proposing, nothing got approved here tonight. There were some suggestions thrown out, but and I've done several projects in this town and built a couple houses.
I don't know.
And when you're building a project and you're storing material on site, in a lot of cases, it's real handy to have some type of a building to work on when you're building a house.
I do not disagree with you, Grant, but if you do the permit together, you can build the garage first and have that stored.
Let me finish. Since the beginning of this community, a permit is good for 1 year. And you can extend that permit after that. You can extend that permit for 6 years if it takes 6 years.
My
Now,
point exactly.
if there is a stipulation on an agreement, on a variance, that it has to be completed with 1 year, within 1 year, with punitive, he agrees to that agreement. That agreement is enforceable.
Are we talking like a $50 fine a month?
I'm,
You see my point?
Ashley said there's a fine could be accrued every day.
And then would that be interest compounded and all the legal aspects that the town should generate because of the bad decisions being made at this level?
Terry, there's two types of decisions that get made in situations like this. On a new development, everything should be correct. In a pre-platted subdivision, it's already so hard to work in a pre-platted subdivision.
He's building from scratch. He has no existing buildings, he's building from scratch.
Terry,
It's a new construction project.
it is in a pre-platted subdivision.
It really makes no sense to keep going, because I built enough things to know, and you are right as I am. We're both right. But we're both arguing the same point, but it doesn't work for giving a variance and creating a situation where we might have to pay administration fees to track it down year after year after year. You just said it could go on for 6 years. Well, that costs taxpayers money. Every time they have to write another letter, every time another letter gets sent, that's postal, that's the person who wrote it. Then if it gets to court, we're paying our legal. It really is a better decision to say,
Terry, that's the way it exists currently, that's the way it is right now.
You guys are gonna do what you're gonna do. I already know that. I just hope you make a good decision. Thank you.
Mr. Parker, can I just provide a small bit of, the zoning ordinance only allows for building permit to be extended for 1 year. After that, they've gotten their one extension, they either have to apply for a brand-new permit and pay the entire fee again.
They could keep doing that for years, though.
For years.
They can, but it's not a reoccurring,
It's not cheap either.
no.
It's very expensive to keep doing that. So, that's all you got, but, I mean, you can't pick and choose who's going to, especially in a pre-platted subdivision, who and how they're gonna build it. They're gonna come in here, they're gonna get their permits, they're gonna get their approvals, whatever they're gonna do, and it takes them as long as it takes.
Any other public comment? All right, motion to adjourn, did we do that?
So moved.
Roll call?
Roll call?
Do we
Aye.
You can just adjourn this yourself.
Oh, we can, all right. Adjourned at 8:27 PM.